Cooch, and I am so happy to present a video called Love and Codependency. So I've gotten a lot of requests recently asking me to differentiate between love and codependency. And one viewer asked me, can I really call what I feel for my boyfriend love if I know that I'm a codependent? It's a really tough question to answer. Um, so I think I'd like to just get to the nuts and the bolts. So when we have to understand that love in its purest form, in its most authentic form, feels nurturing, it feels kind, it feels gracious, it feels like grace, it feels like acceptance, it feels like bliss. It feels so peaceful. Love should be easy. When you're born, your mother should just easily and naturally give to you, which sends you the idea that you are worthy to be loved. And it's just an even nice exchange. I am child, this is mother, and she loves me and I love her, and you know, all is right with the world. When you think about healthy love is the kind of love that has boundaries. It's the kind of love that is not about enmeshment. We're two individuals in a loving relationship. Love that is mature love and is authentic love is non-suffocating. It's uncomplicated. It it sounds kind of cheesy, but it just is. Um, People have asked me. I just finished my first round of the 12-week breakthrough coaching program, getting ready to relaunch in a few months, and one of the members asked me, Lisa, can you please tell me what does real love feel like? And I said to her, real love feels like, for those of you who have a pet, I love animals. I raised two dogs. I had a bunch of birds and fish, and the kind of love that I feel for my dogs is when I look at my dog, I know she just loves me. I know they just love me. I know that if I'm having a bad day or if I have no makeup on or if I gain 50 pounds, overnight or whatever, or I wear I have a hole in my shirt or broccoli in my teeth, they don't care. I know there's a knowing. There's this consistent vibe between me and my dog that allows me to understand that there's this invisible string, this infinity bond between me and my animal, my dog. And I know that it's there. I can't touch it, I can't twist it, I can't smell it, but I can feel it. And it feels good and it feels non-threatening. And it's very validating. No matter how many hours I'm out of the house, you know, the minute I pull up with the car, both of them are outside the window wagging their tails. They can't wait to see me. There's a knowing there, and this love feels good. When I say good morning to my dog, good morning, puppies, I know they're not going to yell at me. I know that they're not going to smack me over the head. I know that they're not going to insult me out of nowhere. I know that my dogs are going to consistently treat me the same way. So there's a knowing there. There's a safety there. There's this sense and there's this peace. There's this sense of peacefulness when I deal with my animals. Love feels like that, real love. Now, codependent love is enmeshed love. Codependent love is more like two halves trying to make a whole. So when I was severely codependent, I was born to two adult children of alcoholics who were codependent. So I was brainwashed through repetition, observation, and consistency to think that that's what love was. And so by the time I was 7, I was boy crazy and love addicted, and codependent and dreaming about Prince Charming coming to take me away. And in my journals writing about, seriously, like I'm not kidding, like I had these fantasies about some boy coming and taking me away from my crazy house. And those fantasies didn't stop for a long time. But, there was this sense of being rescued when I thought about love. Love it felt like there was a desperation involved with the love. Now, when I think about my animals, there's no desperation there. There's just love. I just know that they love me. I'm not desperate for them to validate me. I'm not desperate for them to, pay attention to me. I'm not desperate for their focus. I know that all I really have to do is show up, and they're going to be good to me, which is pretty amazing. And that's what healthy, mature love feels like. There's no guessing games. So codependent love is the result of, I believe, either being raised by codependents who are very well intended, a very, beautiful YouTube viewer, commented on one of my channels and said, Lisa, codependency, you say that codependency is the result of childhood trauma, but I came from a very loving home and I'm a codependent. But it's possible that she was modeled or you were modeled codependency in your home. And even though your parents weren't alcoholics and they weren't cruel people, if they were enmeshed and what they kind of like moved as one unit, so if mom moved this way, dad moved that way. If dad moved this way, mom moved that way. If dad was up, mom was up. If dad was down, if dad was down, mom was down. So you really didn't have the experience of two individuated parents. It was pretty much one parent. So if you said something to mom, let's say you said something to mom, let's say the side of my hand is mom, then you knew that mom was going to have to check with dad before you got an answer from mom. So in your experience of your parents they were two sides of the same coin. Now in a healthy family, you have your children able to see two healthy parents, but they know that if you say something to mom, that mom's going to go check with dad. So dad and mom represent themselves as a united front. But in a healthy home, the children experience mother and father as two separate individuals with their own sense of self. In a codependent home, what happens is children are observing their parents and they're like enmeshed in one unit. So imagine dad's an alcoholic, just for argument's sake, dad's an alcoholic, and the whole family dynamic is corrupted because the whole family is trying to take care of the alcoholic or pretend to other people that dad really isn't an alcoholic. Dad lost his job again. Everybody's covering up for dad. So you can see how there's really no room for individuals in that kind of family, and everybody kind of has to become this enmeshed ball of gobbledygook. Because no one really can be separate in a family like that. Everyone's trying to cover up for the alcoholic. And then we have situations where one of the children feels sorry for the mom, and they become aligned with mom, and then the mom enmeshes with that child, and then another child feels left out, and then mom and dad can't talk about the alcoholism, so let's find a child to scapegoat, and then the other siblings are watching mom and dad scapegoat that child. You have a complete codependent family. So love and codependency can eventually morph into two people coming together and then becoming a codependent family. And that is so difficult to detach from, but it's possible. I did it. So love feels good. Love is a knowing. I am comforted by this person. But the other thing, dear ones, is that you really can't attract. We're always attracting what we are, right? Because it's the universe is responding to our vibration. So we're creating our reality as we go. And I encourage you to look up the work of Robert Lanza, Lanza, because he's really a trailblazer in this field. But we're creating our reality as we go. So if I don't love myself, then I cannot resonate with somebody who can love me. If my brainwashing has me believing that relationships are about codependency, they're about pity, they're about a lack of boundaries. They're about worrying about what other people think about me. I hope he likes me. I hope he sees me. I hope he thinks I'm pretty. I hope he likes the meal I cooked. I hope he never leaves me. I hope he doesn't think anyone else is attractive. I hope he's not mad at me. I hope this. I hope that. That's the codependent mind. And when I healed, I committed myself. I said to myself, I figured my way out of this codependent crap, and I'm going to dedicate my life to helping other people find their way out too. So when I was severely codependent, that's the way my mind worked. I was always worried about what everybody else thought about me. And it was not just my family. It was not just my ex-husband. It was freaking everybody. It was my best friend. It was the first grade teacher. It was the mailman, the UPS guy. It was everybody. When you're codependent, you're codependent. It's a matter of degree. So it's really, really important that we learn how to become individuals. And it's a process. It's a process. Because when you're taught that you're not enough, and you've suffered attachment trauma throughout your whole life, you're looking to attach to other people because, in my opinion, we're unconsciously seeking that bond that we never got in childhood from our parents. So love and codependency feels like this. There's an enmeshment. And in most cases, I think we attract other codependents and or people who are on more on the narcissistic scale. They have more of the narcissistic traits. Doesn't mean they're NPD. It just means that their personality style is more narcissistic than it is, empathetic or empathic or giving or altruistic. They're more about taking. And that is a whole nother issue because we can go off into many, many tangents when we're talking about narcissists and codependents because they're all types. For me personally, I'll just say a little bit about this because so many of you asked me about this. For me, the worst type of a narcissist is a covert narcissist. A narcissist who shows up as your friend. A narcissist who shows up as if implying that you are on the same page. A narcissist who says one thing and then does another and then lies about what he said originally and then tries to make you think that you're crazy for saying that you actually had one agreement or he said one thing or she said one thing. And then when they backtrack and you confront them, they try to make it seem like you're crazy, like that didn't happen. To me, the worst type of a narcissist is a covert narcissist because they show up in your circle of friends. They show up sometimes, they show up at work. They'll have conversations with you. Whenever I do a video, I get itchy. I don't know why. Forgive me. But anyway, I digress. They show up as someone that is altruistic, someone that you can trust in some cases. They show up as victims. They show up as the world hates me. And, they will use your own words against you. And when you find that you've been in a relationship with a covert narcissist, it feels like you have been turned inside out because they have spent so much time brainwashing you to believe that they're this good person. And then when there's a conflict in the relationship and it becomes blatantly obvious that they're not who they led you to believe they are, there's this shock process that has to take place in the person who's been wounded, in the person who's shown up transparent, in the person who's shown up as themselves. So there's a shock factor. There's a shock time that those of you who have been abused, and I've been abused like this myself, there's this aspect of shock, and it takes a while for us to come out of the fog. Like, what happened? What happened? And then we guess ourselves, and we think, oh, he couldn't have been that person. She couldn't have been that person. So we have to really be careful as codependents because we attract unhealthy other people. We have to first focus on ourselves. We are going to attract either narcissists or another codependent. And if our loving style, if our codependent style is that we're the pursuer, then we will attract codependents that withdraw, that are avoidant, that don't like to feel like they owe you anything and blah, 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 blah. They're okay. They're totally okay with you giving them attention. But when you expect for them to reciprocate, it's like blah, 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 blah. They get all freaked out. And then they call you needy. Like, what's wrong with you? Why are you so needy? Meanwhile, you think you're in a relationship and you think that you've created this third entity, which is your love, or the relationship, and he or she is not tending to it. And then when you go, hey, what's up? Why aren't you tending to this relationship? They're like, damn, you're needy. That's what happens. So, love and codependency, I struggle with calling codependency love because, and I've even had this discussion with my husband because he says a narcissist can love, but it's just to what degree? I'm like, to me, love is purity. When I'm talking about love, I'm talking about the kind of love that's safe, the kind of love that we deserved as children from our parents, that was protective, that had boundaries, that was fair, the kind of love that made us feel that we ourselves were okay. Even if we screwed up from time to time, we were okay. You don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. You throw the bathwater out, you keep the baby. But when in your childhood, you have not received that kind of love, that kind of nurturing, that kind of sense that you're okay, then there's a hole inside of you. You don't know that you're okay. You don't. You just don't. And so I struggle with, when people ask me, oh, I love this person, but it's obviously that they're codependent. I'm thinking, well, you love that person according to what your brain defines love as. So your brain has a little file in it and it's labeled love. And whatever your past experiences of love may be, so if your parents were codependent like me, then that's your experience of love. The experience that you have of love is codependent. That's not your fault because that's the only love you know. It's the only love you know. So I struggle. And I just want to say that love is not a universal word. Love might mean one thing to me, but it might mean something to Joe and Jack and Tom and Sue and Penelope and whatever. Love might mean something completely different to all of these people. So we have to wake up a little bit and realize that when a narcissist says, "Oh, I love you," their meaning attached to that word love might be completely opposite of what you think love is. So I think that as we evolve and move forward, I think it's going to be really, really healthy and really, really smart of us as a society. And those of us who are interested in these topics, like here on YouTube, thank God for YouTube. But I think that one of the things that we can start doing, either as a mass on a mass level, or it has to start somewhere, has to start with us. We need to redefine our definition of love. We've got to stop using this word, assuming that the people that we're talking to have the same definition of love, because that is just not the way it is. So you can think one thing about this word, and I can think another thing, and people down the road can think another thing. So it's really, really important that you decide for yourself what this definition is, and then you can move forward. But be very, very careful about calling love, associating love with codependency, because, at least in my opinion, codependency has nothing to do with love. Codependency has to do with the lack of love. Codependency has to do with me not thinking I'm good enough and me thinking I need another person to fill me up. So codependency or codependent love is enmeshed. There's no me and you. There is this enmeshed sense of we as a couple. And if the one person's upset, then the other person's upset. And sometimes what will happen is if one person's happy, the other partner is not happy, and they'll try to bring that person down. So you can see how codependency is about bobbing and weaving, and it's all about really control. And people, the codependent couple, they're constantly trying to jockey for position of control. So you can have a codependent, let's say a codependent man who feels mostly in control of the relationship by ignoring his wife, let's say. And the wife chases him and chases him and chases him until she finally gets sick of chasing him anymore. And then she just gets quiet, and there's no sex, and there's no breakfast, and there's no oatmeal, and there's nothing for this guy. And he's like, "Hey, what's up?" Now she's got his attention. So rather than have an adult conversation about it, she's still trying. All she wants to do is be seen. So now she has his attention. So it works. So now she broods some more. Now she's a little bit more pissy. And he'll chase after her now. Now she feels seen. And maybe they'll have a blow up and he'll say, "Oh, I'm sorry." But before long, he'll be withdrawing again and she'll be seeking his validation again. And she will get sick of seeking his validation and then she'll stop. And this is what will happen again. See-saw. Now, real love just is. Real love just is. Real love is forgiving. Real love is safety. Real love feels like I'm home. So I hope this has helped, and I hope I've helped you identify for yourself a little bit more clearly without all the technical jargons, mumbo jumbo. At the end of the day, we're supposed to feel seen in our relationships, and we're supposed to feel like we're enough on the inside and attract people who are loving on the outside, who also mirror to us that sense of that I am enough. So when you look at your partner, you want to know that he thinks that you're enough, or you want to know that she thinks you're enough, especially if you think he's enough or you think she's enough. But this is the thing. Until we wake up and we become accountable for how we show up, and until we ascend out of the unconscious mind, we're going to play games with people. So until I see myself, I'm going to attract people unconsciously that I need to manipulate to see me. Because unconsciously I need that person to validate me, but I really don't. So when you learn to validate yourself and you learn to get off this seesaw of codependent, crazy love, fighting and up and down and who's right and who's wrong and yeah, until I'm ready to get off that, until I'm ready to love myself, I can't attract somebody who can love me. So love and codependency, I don't think they're one and the same. I really don't. To me, love is sacred, and love makes you feel seen. Love makes you feel like you're good enough. And codependency is coming from a place of lack. And when you're in a codependent relationship, you never feel seen, and you never feel like you're good enough. And you attract people. If you're the codependent, you attract people who go out of their way to make you feel like you're not good enough. I hope this has been helpful. And as always, dear one, I'm bowing to the love and the light that is in you. Namaste.